Welcome, Dave King here at Triple Crown Sports, Pathway Baseball, to talk to you about the recruiting situation that's out there in America with the advent of the implications of COVID. We've got two sets of panelists today joining us. We've got a group of club coaches, Brandon Decker from the Cal Force, Dom Jeffries from the Utah Gulls, Jeff Fallon from Arizona, Ottawa, and then Ryan's, as a college coach, Ryan Serna from Rogue Baseball Club here in the Rocky Mountain region. Ron Murray, the MAC Elite from New Mexico. Breton LaRose from Penn State at Harrisburg. Josh Perot is from Hudson Valley Community College in New York. And then Anthony Zona from Charleston College. And so today we have two packages of research we're going to walk through today, and I'm going to start this first thing off with Brandon Decker in the club side of our research. We have club research and college research on what's happening with recruiting. So Brandon, let's just start with your schedule right now. Where's it at? What's happening? What's the certainty in your schedule?
Yeah, awesome. Just want to say thanks to Dave and Gino for putting this on and having Force Baseball a part of this. Force is looking at a pretty heavy schedule. It looks like for us in California, unfortunately right now, there's not a lot of things open. No tournaments are allowed to be hosted. We're really hoping and fingers crossed here for our high school season to run through as Force. But as of us right now, our schedule would be starting this summer in June. Obviously, all three of the major pathway events will be attending: Albuquerque, Utah, and Arizona. We also have numerous other events we just got accepted for and we're excited to be in. We got into the USA Junior Olympics with two of our teams in Arizona. That'll be in July. We also just qualified and made the WWBA 16U Perfect Game Tournament in Murrieta, Georgia, which has over 60 teams in that one. So we're really excited for that. Obviously, the numerous PGs will be in California if that can open up over summer. A lot of the PBRs for recruiting purposes, prospect wires. And then obviously with last summer before COVID hit, we were in a lot of the college team camps that were around here, San Diego State, USDs, and all of those. So we have a heavy tournament schedule for this upcoming year. And obviously too, we're fingers crossed that everything in California can open up so we can play some local stuff. But we dealt with a little adversity this summer, had to go outside the state to, Arizona's, Vegas, a lot of other Utah ones too. So obviously we're prepared to have to do that again. Hopefully not as much, but I said, Force Baseball is prepared for this summer.
Okay, thanks, Brandon. Dom, what's it look like for you in Utah as far as schedule? And then I'm going to pull up the next set of data, which is the impact of the high school season right now, because that obviously is going to bear on all of us of when it starts and what it does. So why don't you jump in there, Dom, on is your season similar?
And once again, thanks, fellas, for having me in and Goals Baseball Club out of Utah. No, we've been open. I mean, we're really kind of on the opposite end of what Brandon's seeing in California. Our facilities have been open. We've worked out the last 3-4 months, 4 days a week. High school baseball is 100% go. Student athletes are testing every other week, mandatory. If you don't go on a test, you can't go to practice. So we're kind of on the opposite end, and I think we've been a little fortunate really through this whole process. Really up front, we got a little jammed up, but the last meeting we were on when we talked to the clubs across the country, we were in a better situation than most have been. So our schedule, we're bouncing between obviously Utah, Arizona. We're going to go down to Texas this summer. So we're to be honest with you, we're doing all right here. High school is 100% go. In fact, tryouts are the first of next week. So hopefully the rest of the country gets a green light and can get it rolling.
Very good. Ryan, how about you in Colorado with high school season and your schedule?
Yeah. So the high school season was pushed back. So the official CHSAA season starts the end of April, runs through the end of June for teams that make it all the way to the state championship. So it kind of has split into two parts. There's a lot of club teams that are doing things prior to that high school season. On our end, we're not actually doing any of that. Most of the high schools in our immediate area are putting together programs for their guys through the school. So we've encouraged our guys to be a part of that. And And, you know,
And
but
Ryan, is that facility driven? Do you believe that the club market would have trouble just entering independently right now, and that the high schools can run their own club derivative right now?
not so much that that the clubs would have a hard time doing it. I think you know, club baseball teams can definitely pull some of those kids. You know, I'm involved in the high school ranks as well at Chaparral High School here, and I coach there. So we're working to put together a really good preseason program for our guys prior to the actual season. You know, and there's a lot of other programs that are doing the same. You know, so that's kind of prior to the high school season. You know, afterwards, our schedule will be pretty heavy as well. We'll go basically 7 out of 8 weekends starting mid-June, with pathway tournaments, obviously, as a part of that, in addition to some of the ones that these other guys have talked about, Prospect Wire, PBR, 5-tool, events like that. So, you know, we're encouraging the guys to continue training and playing for their high school leading into the season, play their actual high school season during that time, and then we'll jump right into our stuff at Rogue in the middle of June, and we'll be off and running. So
Okay, super. Ron, how about you in New Mexico? You've had a tough go so far. Come off mute there, Ron.
Yeah, we probably had it tougher than mostly everybody on here. It seems like I'm in a little different situation. I help run the Mackey Elite McDermott Athletics Center as a club. I'm also the president of our high school coaching association, and it's my 36th year coaching high school here in New Mexico. So I kind of represent all sides of everything here. But our high school season has been pushed back till April 5th. It should have started 2 weeks ago. So we've been pushed back to start April 5th and June 26th. Our teams right now, as of 2 weeks ago, are allowed to work out in 4-to-1 pods, the high school teams. And you're supposed to have a coach be that one. And so obviously we have to do a lot of breaking up with groups to get everybody there legally in town. As far as our club team goes, we're scheduling all of our games starting July. We're trying also to avoid the high school season. A lot of our kids play both, obviously. And right now, our schedule is set up to go play in Texas, Arizona, and Colorado. We played the whole off season, but we played it out of state. We went to Corpus Christi, San Antonio, Tucson, Arizona, Lamar, Colorado. We've been all over the place, but we did have a 9U to 13U teams that have always been local that now we have turned into travel teams also, just so they can get playing again. And same thing, we're playing a lot right now in Arizona, Tucson, and Phoenix with the spring training series and all that going on. And then we're going to start going to Texas when the weather gets a little bit better also. But our club teams are looking to start traveling July 4th weekend and play a lot at that point. Is there anything else?
Okay, that sounds good. Gino, can you represent from the pathway and the rest of the country what you're seeing from the middle of the country over and what effect it's had?
Yeah, so the reason we select these coaches is to get that perspective from different regions because they're all kind of different. But what we're seeing in the Midwest and Texas and some of the Southeast are completely open. So when we are looking at potentially adding a Kansas City event, everything's open in the Midwest. Omaha's completely open for our pathway events. Our Louisiana event, everything moving forward there has been open. They've been playing games. I know in Omaha, they have fans at the indoor volleyball stuff. So Midwest is completely open. I don't know much about the East Coast. That's why I wanted to get the East Coast colleges on here to kind of discuss some of that. But as far as we know, we're looking good. Colorado's still kind of in the middle, but everything east of that is a full go, and they're playing baseball. And I think most of their seasons, as far as high school, are starting on time.
Very good. Ron, let's just jump back to you and talk about recruiting. We've got some information on the screen here that shows there's some issues for 21s due to the load of the talent out there. We've also got another screen on 22s that say it looks more normal. And then we've got a screen on 23s don't have are a 21, 22 what they're doing. But those two screens, let me go back to the 21 screen. Let's talk about your 21, 22 recruiting efforts for your kids. Where are you at? Is it normal? Does it feel slow? Does it feel, what's your picture of it?
We've got the normal amount of kids signed, but we've had to work 3 times harder. I mean, no doubt. Luckily, you know, like I said, coaching 36 years, I know a lot of the coaches in the Arizona, Texas area, Colorado. So we used mostly relied on our past communication with college coaches and you know, using, we've sent some videos, of course, but most of the time the word of mouth. Our Mackey Elite 2021, we have all 12 kids signed. So they're all going somewhere to play. My high school team, we have 11 seniors this year. We have 7 signed. But the other 5, not necessarily all college type players. So I'm not too worried about that, but, we're right on track, but we definitely had a lot of hard work. Yes.
Very good. Ryan, what are you seeing in Colorado for the Colorado kids as far as the pace of 21 and 22 for recruiting right now?
Yeah, honestly, I would echo Coach Murphy and say that it hasn't been as steep a drop as we might have anticipated. For our program specifically, we've had more guys sign this year than we have in years past. You know, utilizing some of those same methods. The video is huge. You know, even prior to COVID, the ability to send a video and put it on the internet, and every coach around the country had the ability to see it. You know, was there. And then obviously COVID accelerated that. You know, so for us, we've tried to use those platforms to our advantage. We use sports recruits as a tool for our guys to research and create a profile to share with coaches. Field level is a part of that, you know, and then reaching out to the coaches in our region that we have relationships with as well has been a big deal. So we feel pretty good about where our 2021 guys are at. And then the 2022 is kind of getting started along the recruiting lines.
Very, very good. Okay, Dom, how about your situation for recruitment right now?
Things are good. 21s, we have a couple left where we've seen a log jam, and I'm sure everyone is similar in the country, is on those D1 guys, right? There seemed to be kind of a bigger log jam there than the junior college, the D2s, the D3s. But yeah, we're kind of same thing, just kind of echoing what the other coaches said. We're on track. We got a couple guys left that are kind of holding out, and, you know, we're having conversations with them. It's about that time, but at the end of the day, they're going to make their choice. So overall, yeah, things are going well. We saw a log jam on kind of the bigger schools, the Division Ones, but as far as junior college and other divisions, we've been doing okay.
Very good. How about you, Brandon and Cal?
Yeah, it's obviously been a lot tougher here in California with a lot of the schools not being allowed to go out and recruit at all. So as an organization, what we found ourselves doing is working a lot harder as well with videos, trying to get a lot of our connections caught up with our guys. So we've had a lot of guys here that are about ready to fly off to some good D1s that have been talking to some schools. But obviously it's been a lot tougher with us with the exposure, no schools being allowed to do anything. So we've turned our focus more towards a lot of the recruiting going to videos and obviously self chats with these kids and these schools. But both of our classes for the 2021s, 2022s look good. We have a very promising 2023 and 2024 class as well that are getting a lot of looks right now.
So I got some research up here, and I'll bounce this back to Gino on. It still looks like, Gino, from a standpoint that if they can't be seen, that's down at the bottom on research, waiting for the summer to see, that coaches have had to use a lot of tactics. What are you recommending from your desk, Gino? Because this is the distribution of what they're saying they're doing.
Yeah, so kind of the same thing, just, you know, making sure that you're utilizing the relationships you've had in the past. And then the video is a huge thing right now, making sure it's the right video, getting that out to the college coaches, and really being more specific on what the player wants. You know, our whole thing is, where do you fit? And just, you know, being realistic with, if that kid is going to be an NAIA kid or a D2 kid or a junior college kid, making sure that he's getting in the right direction, because like Dom said, the Division I ranks are pretty jammed up right now. And you see a lot of NAIA schools and junior colleges getting some of these players who are, top level kids. So, it's just grinding it out, making the kid take some accountability and his family to make sure that they're, knowing exactly what they want, where they want to go, what type of coaching situation they want, and just making sure they're in that right direction.
We've got some research up here, and and I'll jump to California right now, Brandon, because you're the one that's hitting it. You got some answers on your efforts, and so keep in mind that you guys represent probably a handful of select clubs that probably have had more success than the broader reach of everything we do and we touch with our research here. But the number of people that said it's the same as before COVID is 30%, and the rest have said, it's got some challenges here. So from your standpoint, Brandon, do you see it this way completely, that your efforts have been tougher?
Yeah, I mean, from when COVID first hit to now, nothing has really changed. I mean, we're allowed to obviously practice in-house with our kids, in small groups, the inter squads and things like that. But I mean, from playing games perspective and from California being open to tournaments, nothing has changed, and we're finally allowed. We just got word that we're going to be able to play other teams, in some local things here and there, but no more than 2 teams at a time. But for us, the challenge has been tough. We had to span our organization 18 out of 18 weekends in a row. We actually traveled outside of the state of California to play in tournaments to try to figure stuff out for our guys, recruiting. And obviously it's different levels with kids, but
how's the finances working on that, Brandon? Do you starting to feel some financial load from that kind of travel?
Yeah. As a club, we've taken a big hit for that because obviously we want our boys to play. So we've had to try to take, financial, limitations for that, but it has definitely affected our families. And it got to the point at the beginning where it was really tough on families, but then now they've realized that in order for these kids to play, they have to do it, which is unfortunate. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that California opens soon, but as a club and kids in our area, I mean, it's definitely taken a financial hit on a lot of families when they know that the only way that they can play is to go outside of the state and travel and spend money in other places.
Yeah, and Dom, from your standpoint, means you're hosting a lot of things. What do you see the tournament business looking and the camp business looking like? Are you going to tell me Utah's basically good to go for tournaments and camps? And is that a for sure as far as June? Because the schedule here says that most of you believe that things will be back 65% in June, sometime in June.
Yeah, we're 100%. I mean, we're seeing our COVID cases trend down dramatically. The state of Utah reports that we're bouncing right above 1,000 cases per day to anywhere to 500 up to 1,000, where, 3 months ago, we're sitting 2,500 to 5,000 cases a day. So we're seeing a major decrease in trend. And Dave, as of all right now, it looks like we're 100%. I don't see any roadblocks coming down. I think we're a go across the board.
So Gino, back to you from a standpoint of tournaments. Do you believe that these camps and things are going to happen? I mean, obviously you're in the business to make them happen, but I'm sitting here hearing some things that can you help us out on what your belief is on, are the coaches coming back, and is your attendance going to be strong this summer?
Yeah, so most of our events are good to go. Utah, that one 100%. We ran our 3 events there last year, had a huge success there. So I expect the same thing there. All of our Midwest, Omaha, Southeast Louisiana, all good to go. The only issue we're having right now might be Albuquerque. So we have some backup plans in place. But as far as I know, some are more limited with how many people can come. If New Mexico, if they do open, we can have things that we're looking at other options so we keep those going. But as far as I know, most markets are playing on something.
Okay, let's jump to another topic, the college experience right now. And I'm going to go to Ron with this one. And what are your guys that are there telling you is happening? Is the roster too big? Is everything normal? What are they saying to you in your words? Because the research is saying there's some issues at the college right now.
They're not saying too much. I mean, talking there. Okay, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Ron.
The colleges we talked to, talked to Coach Birmingham from UNM, and actually talked to Coach Green from Washington State also. But the hardest thing right now is the money. I mean, there's not a lot of money available, scholarship money for kids, and that's their biggest struggle. They have to take a lot of our kids as invited walk-ons. A lot of them are Mexican. We have the lottery scholarship in Mexico where the kids don't pay tuition after their first semester. So I would say the hardest thing we hear from the college coaches, we love to have the academy, but a lot of them are going to be invited walk-on. And that's just the way it is.
Money's key. Okay, Ryan, what situation are you seeing with the kids that are out of college right now? What are you hearing from your kids playing?
Yeah, I mean, same thing. Not a ton of major issues. Obviously, rosters are a little bit bigger, and some guys coming in that may not have come in before, especially to those smaller schools and AIs and D3s that they're not used to getting so many kickbacks. So that's obviously more competitive for those guys. And then just talking with them with some guys that are staying for next year have been allowed to do that. When we're talking recruiting with guys and we tell them to look for guys that that'll potentially be graduating when they're making their decisions, and then a few of those guys are sticking around. It makes things a little bit tougher for those guys. So there's been a little bit of that, but the handful of guys that are playing right now have been generally.
So when you look at these numbers, and I'll jump to Dom, when you look at these numbers, and I think it's really important in the midst of this that we don't create any more confusion to people. That the realism of where we're at is really important right now. Is that the 32% are saying rosters are too large, and 28% says it feels normal when my college players talk to me. And then you got 24% down there saying it's tainted the college experience to a degree that's I'm really concerned. So Dom, your thoughts on this piece of information?
Yeah, a couple of our guys are seeing large rosters, at least. I mean, I think there's a lot of D1 bounce back guys that maybe would have been at that level that are settling down into the junior college level, which is backing things up a little bit. As far as the college process being tainted, yeah, a lot of our guys are saying it's a different experience, although it's their first experience there based off what historically has happened. Yeah, it's different, right? Things are not the same. So they're feeling it. But at the end of the day, we keep going back. It is what it is. Like you got to grind. You got to get out there. It's going to be more difficult. And if you can handle it, good on you. If not, unfortunately, those players are going to wash out.
Oh, and I appreciate you guys' standpoint. The last question I'd ask you, this has just popped up recently, is the mental health issues. And I'll go to you, Brandon. You guys have been locked up the longest. Are you seeing any side effects? Obviously, you're working hard to get them on the road, which you think is important. Are you seeing any side effects on mental health on your kids at all?
I mean, we see the sides of, obviously, with California being shut down too, right? Our kids aren't seeing any school interaction as well, right? So I think from our side, baseball and, obviously youth sports have been an outlet for these kids, right? So you do see a lot of these kids when they come out, right? They're full of energy, they're excited. They obviously are getting their activities in with us, but you do see a lot of that because kids aren't getting the social interaction that they can. They're not getting the work they could, the exercise, right? So you're seeing it affect not only mental but physical health as well for a lot of people here. But we've been trying to, as an organization, Force has been doing the best we can to make sure that we roll and keep things as normal as possible for our kids, just to keep, some of that sanity for everybody. But it is definitely taking a toll on all of us. I mean, coaches included, just trying to take care of our players out there. We're trying to run through baseball drills and these kids are just excited to see each other, so at least that part for us has been a good avenue for these kids to at least get some social interaction. But there's no doubt with us in California, we've taken a big hit both mentally and physically. And that's top to bottom, right? That's high school kids all the way down to our 8-year-olds as well. But like I said, we're doing our best to keep the kids on the field, and hopefully it eases up for us. But we're seeing effects big time.
Ron, I'm going to leave the last question to you, and you guys are obviously going to play championships and things like that. But let's go back to the mental health one more time. I'm going to have Evan scroll back there and leave it on that one. You've been at this a while. What's your recommendation for those people listening right here, for those kids that are challenged right now with just the way things are?
Well, as coaches, our main job is to teach how to overcome adversity. So, we just got to keep plugging in and let them know that hopefully this is not the norm for the future and that we are going to get through this. When we do our workouts, like I told my assistant coaches, to be honest, baseball's kind of at the back of the workout. It's more like the other coaches mentioned, having fun, getting out there, yelling and screaming, high-fiving each other. Just kind of being there for them and trying to feel them out. I think nobody knows their players better than coaches. We just got back to school yesterday, and I can see our teachers have a disconnect with our kids already. And, as coaches, we've been Zoom meeting with our kids for the last month and doing things and everything. So all I can say to the kids is, unfortunately, some of them stay home and don't do a lot. And we have those other kids that are going to work out and doing stuff on their own. Do something. You got to set a plan. You got to get up in the morning. You got to do something and make yourself better.
Okay, we're going to jump over to the college side, and I'm going to jump in there with Breton on this one, and I'll pull up the college for the group watching on the outside. But from you guys' standpoint, what's it look like for you right now, Breton, at Penn State Harrisburg?
Yeah, so thanks for having me, Dave and Gino. I appreciate it. So Penn State Harrisburg is a Division III school in the NEAC, and we're located in Harrisburg, PA. So right now there's a meeting for the presidents to decide our game schedule this week. What we're looking at is about 20 conference games with 10 non-conference games. So a 30-game season for us with the conference tournament and hopefully for a chance at an NCAA tournament. But right now we just started practice this past week on Friday. So we are only about 3 days in right now. So we're slowly getting back there. The guys are happy to be back, at least doing something. Most of them are back on campus. Some of them still commute from about an hour or 30 minutes away. But we've been grinding a little bit. It's 5 group. We are only allowed 5 groups, hour and 15 max. That's for the pitchers, position players, everybody. 2 coaches are allowed at all times. So our third coach can't really be there just yet, but hopefully once the schedule comes out, we get a more clear response from everybody. But right now we're doing good, and everybody's happy to be back.
We had a good representation from different levels, and I'm going to jump down to Anthony and just say, what are you seeing in your marketplace, your schedule, your activities, what you got going on?
Thank you guys again, Dave and Gino, for having me on. First, I'll start off by saying, we're University of Charleston. We're a Division II program in Charleston, West Virginia. I've been an assistant coach there for 3 years now. This season coming up is definitely not like any of the ones before it. But what I will say is we've usually played a 50-game schedule with about 12 of those being non-conference games. We've been reduced this season to 40-game schedule total. And then we'll have about 8 non-conference games that we'll play before we get into our conference play. So 32 conference games, 8 non-conference. And it's all kind of jammed in together. We've started a little bit later this year. We'll get started around March 2nd. So exactly this time next week, we'll be kicking off with our first game. So everything leading up to that has been pretty standard. I think our conference and our commissioners have done a really good job of giving us a progression moving through our fall and into our spring. And luckily, we haven't had any hiccups yet. So we're ready to rock and roll as March 2nd comes. So that's where it's at on our end.
Okay, thank you. Jeff, back in Arizona, where do you guys sit? What's it look like? What's schedule? What's campus? Because campus numbers here are not that exciting. You guys are 75% virtual, and 15% of you are actually on the campus as a whole. So what does it look like for you, Jeff?
Yeah, again, like everyone else, thanks for having me, Dave and Gino. I've been at Ottawa University now for 3 years. I've lived in Surprise for 25 years. So I've been here and seen this whole campus, just start from nothing. So it's exciting for me to be here. And we are, believe it or not, 100% in class. We're one of those rare ones who all of our students attend.
Good report.
Here at a residential campus. We're part of the NAIA. We're in the Golden State Athletic Conference, the GSAC. So most of our games or our opponents in our conference are from California. So there's 9 teams in the conference and 7 are from California. So that's been a challenge for us from a game standpoint. We started with 55 games and that got knocked down to about 30 real quick. Our conference changed into 2 different pods. So there's what's called a non-testing pod and a testing pod. So it's kind of like divisions. You play within your pod throughout the season. And typically we'll play 32 conference games. This year we're playing 16. Typically we play 55 overall. This year we're playing about 50. So our games haven't been knocked down too much, but that's just been the credit to Coach Montez and just getting after it and calling all his connections. Our schedule now is pretty much Dallas, San Antonio, Tyler. We had a trip to Houston that got canceled because of the snow, but that's been, it's been a blessing to be able to just turn that way and go there and play. But so from an on-field stuff, it really hasn't changed much. We're pretty close with where we wanted to be schedule-wise. It's just that the geographic has switched to going east instead of going west. With our pod, our division, we've only got 3 schools, us, Arizona Christian, and Masters, who are non-testing. And then the other 5 are testing. So at the end of the season, the winner of each regular season will play each other in a conference matchup, 2 out of 3 for the winner to go to the regional. So, it's not life as normal, but as far as, a freshman who hadn't been to college before, I would say here in Ottawa, it's pretty much the same as it was last year before.
That's a good report, Coach. Josh, in New York, I imagine we've got different things there in Hudson Valley. Fill me in.
Yeah, this is actually my second year. Thanks for having me, guys. This is my second year as the head coach here at Hudson Valley. Spent the previous 10 years at the University of Bridgeport in Connecticut as the associate head coach there, and 8 of those years the head coach in the NECBL, pretty good summer league for college baseball players. So it's definitely different. We've went ahead. Hudson Valley it's a county by county decision. All our junior colleges are run by our counties. They're part of the SUNY system here in New York. They've decided to cancel at Hudson Valley this season because we are both a vaccination site and a testing site. Now, mostly everybody else has decided to play. There's some exceptions out there in the junior college system. They're playing a limited 30-game schedule. So it's been a challenge as a coach for me, not only getting my guys to the next level, but as soon as that news came down, I made sure that, we had guys on our team that needed to play at other junior colleges and have a season to get some exposure, two-year guys that have never played college baseball. So the reality is there's going to be a lot of guys going Division II, Division I, Division III, NAIA after this year that are 2-year freshmen because junior college gave back a free year of eligibility for this spring. So anybody that says it's not going to be log jam's a liar. There's definitely a log jam out there. Working miracles and saying that, a guy isn't good enough anymore. Coaches want rapsodos. They want to see guys play. I know myself for my recruiting class, I'm headed down to Florida next week to do some recruiting at schools like IMG and schools like TXNL out of Florida. They're high schools, but they're also summer ball. So it's a good mix for us to get able to see them. And I think that's where it's headed. I think there's going to be more of that out there, more of a market for prep baseball, more of a market for cages that offer academics. So I'm looking forward to see what that looks like and, getting my guys ready for summer baseball and getting them onto the best teams that can give them the most exposure.
So I look at this number and I'll just take it from there. Your roster situation obviously shut down is not positive as far as play. But if I jump all the way down to, let's say, Anthony, what's your roster situation? Are you one of these same answers, or are you 5 or more players, or what are you?
Yeah, so at Charleston, we had the unique situation last year. We had about 14 seniors that were going to graduate, and then 5 of them actually decided they didn't want to turn in the cleats yet, and they came back and did a graduate year at our university. So fortunately, we had that from an educational standpoint, so it made sense for those guys to come back, and they were 5 key contributors as well. So we were glad to get them back. But yeah, I think at our program, it's a little bit different as far as the roster size. So we carry 50 athletes, and you're thinking, wow, that's a lot of guys. But, you know, every single guy is kind of on a different track, right? So like the bottom half of our roster, most of those guys come in with the anticipation that they might redshirt anyway. So for us, our numbers haven't even really changed that much. It just means that outside of those 40 games that I was talking about with you guys earlier, we'll play 15 to 20 development games. So the way that we structure it is it's less of like junior varsity, more of an opportunity for our guys to get at bats to keep proving themselves to us as to why they should have a chance to make that lineup. Now there could be 7 to 8 guys that are completely redshirted and they're taking that entire year to develop. So for us, we kind of have 3 tiers of guys that flow through the program all at once. So we've been working off of technically like a 5-year plan with our graduate program in the last 4 or 5 years anyway. So for us, it's definitely increased our roster size with those 5 guys coming back. But as far as up the chain goes, not really much has changed from that standpoint. So I think the biggest thing to note out of all of that is the ability for us to just keep creating opportunities for our players, whether it's playing those development games and keeping our fall and our preseasons as competitive and game-like as possible. Whereas before, some guys might not have gotten that opportunity. If the roster wasn't able to complete a preseason or even a fall schedule where everyone's competing on the field together to get those reps. So I think that's where it's helped us out a lot.
Okay, Breton from Penn State Harrisburg, what are you seeing on your roster right now?
Yeah, so we carry 40 players. That's been the same for the last 5 years now, and we would have had 9 seniors graduated. 5 of them came back. Great young men. They can contribute a little bit. They all started, so it was good to have them back. But we recruited 12 freshmen, so our roster currently is at 53. So it's never been like this before. So it's kind of like we're kind of rolling with the punches, myself and our head coach Ryan. So it makes it tough when we have only allowed 5 groups of 8 players. So about 40 players out of the 53 can practice with us right now. Those other 13 are off on their own, which it's good that they're getting their work in, but we as coaches can't really see them and help develop them. And some of them are freshmen, some are still sophomores. So we're kind of in a little pickle right now with that. But once our team practices are supposed to start first week of March, then everybody's allowed to be at the team practices. So that'll be good for us as coaches, and then those freshmen and
Is travel size affected for you, Brendan? And is there new limitations to travel size?
Yeah, so we are down to 25.
Whoa.
Yeah, we're down to 25.
What was the old travel size before?
It was 38. So yeah, we are really short. So 25, not including the coaches. So we're not sure what we're going to do yet. We'll kind of cross that bridge when it gets here, but for right now, yeah, that's what they limited us, and that came about a week ago. They told us that in a staff meeting that we were down to 25. So we're going to see what happens, but it's definitely going to challenge us a little bit.
Great information for us. Jeff, on your standpoint, obviously I'm pulling up a budget number next for you guys to look at. The average budget cut was 32% from 100 reporting colleges. So that's big, and I don't know if you guys felt it or what happened and travel sizes, but can you speak on what those did to you at Ottawa?
Yeah, our budget was cut for sure. We actually lost one of our full-time coaches throughout the deal. So, it definitely affected our whole university, our whole athletic department. I think probably every single program here lost a coach during COVID or during, from that March through to July. And then we lost about, just like everybody else, right around 30% of our budget. We had a huge fundraiser in the fall that was, our kids were amazing with it. We raised about around 20,000. So that helped out a lot. It allowed us to do some things that we definitely wouldn't be able to do without that fundraising. So
was travel size cut?
Travel size was right now we're at 27. So that's pretty much where we were before as far as players, and then 6 coaches. So we haven't had our that number cut. It's more of a case by case. Where are we going? What do we need? How many arms do we need? How many catchers do we need? That kind of thing. And then going from there. But we've pretty much set about 27. If it's a smaller trip to like San Diego, then, we'll get to 30. But, we're going to Texas for a week. So that's, 27 is the most that we can think to that.
So if you look at this next question, I'll take it over to Anthony. The biggest obstacle with a large roster, the results here say that practice time's just getting BP, getting reps and getting in, out, figured out. Is that what you're seeing?
So on our end, the fall was definitely challenging. We had to be in 8 separate groups / pods with 5 guys. Now I work with the pitchers. So personally, I think that was phenomenal for me just to be able to break things down on a little bit of a more slow basis for each athlete in the fall, which was nice. But transitioning into the spring, we've actually been fortunate enough to have all of our athletes on the field at one time through our university. So the state's allowed that to happen, and we've followed the guidelines as best we can. And I think that's ultimately why you see with our university that we've been able to get out there and have practices with that whole squad. So it's been an amazing opportunity.
So you look at the challenges here now, Josh, I'm going to jump over with you to the next question, which will be, where are you at, as far as grads going into the fall, and what do you need? And obviously you're in a rare situation. The irony is the last one of these I had an unbeknownst to me shut down program as well. So fill me in, Josh, on where you guys are at for needs.
Sure. So I think as a junior college, and especially in this landscape, we're going to remain flexible. And any Division I kickbacks, any high level Division II players, we're going to remain flexible. I am confident in where we're at. We've signed some really good high level players from the area, and we've already seen players not commit to going back to colleges they were at this spring, to not play a shortened season or not getting, like you were speaking on earlier, maybe a shortened experience. Because I know, the college baseball today, this spring, is not college baseball that it was 2 springs ago. And anybody, people might say it's similar, whatever, but it's a very different landscape for baseball. So shortened schedules, which means shortened experience, less innings for arms, less at bats for hitters. So we're starting to see people we saw a lot of people at the break decide not to play this spring, which has created a really good opportunity for us. As far as specifically us, we always want more arms. We always want to get more competitive and add more arms, more depth in any talented position, middle infield, center field, guys like that. Obviously, build a program around athletic, baseball players, but guys that have stayed throughout. We're looking for character guys that throughout this whole experience. Although we're a junior college, we don't want guys with bad grades. We want to get guys that have really good grades. We want to have guys that have really good character. And a really good cross section of our community. So, I think that's what we've been doing. That's where we're at, and we're going to continue to do that.
Thank you. Brenton, on your standpoint, I'm going to bounce over to what's happening in the camp business, because I think all of you realize without question that camps are key for recruiting, and they're key for financial resources for us. I mean, otherwise we don't have a camp business. Sometimes we don't have any work or any pay. So fill me in on this piece of information here, which basically says that 60% of you not sure when and where you're going to get to run camps again. So where do you stand?
Yeah. So usually at Penn State Harrisburg, we'll run 2 showcase camps throughout the fall. Usually one we'll have in July, and the next one will be in October. As of right now, we're pretty certain that the one in July will happen. We just haven't found a date yet. The one in October is we don't know that too much information about that one just yet. But we are pretty confident from our athletic director, our president, and our chancellor that we've had the go ahead that we can do our first one in July.
So what about you, Josh? Do you get to run a camp?
Yes, we do. And we're lucky enough to partner up. We play in a professional stadium. It was formerly the Houston Astros New York Penn League team. It was built in 2004, so it's relatively new. It's nice. So we partner up with the minor league team, and we run some camps out of there. And we've also been fortunate enough to host our own. So we will be hosting them in the fall once we're, knock on wood, not a vaccination site anymore or not a testing site. One or the other gives up. We're looking forward to hosting because, the big reason behind us not having a spring season or having athletics at Hudson Valley was the safety of, the community. It really is a community resource. We have a beautiful facility, beautiful campus. And as soon as it's safe for everybody, we're looking forward to get back to it.
What from a standpoint, Anthony, I'll jump to you and then to Jeff. This administration's, we're going to go right into recruiting now. You got all these players, you got your camp business tightened down. What's the administration's tone? What will they let you do? How's it going to take place? Can you get in a car? What can you do?
Yeah, so it's been pretty standard so far with recruiting. Like, you're only allowed to have, through our university, one guy on the road at a time. So if a guy's going to a camp, that's fine. But as far as if two recruiting events were happening at once, they've limited us a little bit in that aspect, with the notion that this summer, it looks like, especially once we get past April, I think they're going to open it back up again, just from our university standpoint, and let all of our coaches get back out there on the road. We have no recruiting restrictions. They're just worried about possibly the numbers that we would be sending around to different states and whatnot. So they've tried to just keep it at a minimum because obviously the first priority here is getting these guys out on the field and playing this spring. So we're abiding by that to the best of our ability, with the notion that once the summer comes, we'll be able to get back to our normal recruiting abilities out there in the summer.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, it's standard. It's pretty. It's definitely not normal, but as far as our administration goes, they're very supportive. They allow us to go out. We're NAIA, so we can send out really as many as we need to at one given time. The challenge for us is here in Arizona, high school baseball will start towards the end of March. So it'll go back to each school within high school baseball, and are they allowing spectators, scouts, or college coaches to attend? Right now, junior college baseball has started. So for me, I'm the recruiting coordinator here, so I have to contact each coach and find out what their protocol is at each different college. So, and it's interesting because I was going to Central Arizona last weekend and no college coaches were allowed, but the parents were. I went to Douglas, Arizona for coaches and no parents were allowed, but college coaches were. So, and then I went to Yuma where everybody was allowed. So as long as you wear a mask and social distance. So for me, it's just communicating with the coaches and the administrators at the school that we're going to, and then taking it from there. But for our administration, they're very supportive, and we can go out and recruit.
So here's the tool list, and I'll bounce it over to Breton on this one. This is the report. So all of a sudden, we're seeing some things pop up here, and I heard one of you comment it. Wouldn't even have been on the report. It was on the last time, which is measurement data, Rapsoda, blast, sensor data, video still from Gino in the one hole, streaming live games has popped up. The communication is real high. So from your standpoint, Brett, what are you guys using that works? What's your go-to if you can't get there?
Yeah, so our go-to is obviously going to see that recruit live in a high school setting or in a summer setting. But our best recruiting tool that's been good for us is the video sent by their summer coaches and the high school coaches. Usually it's a quick recruiting video of who they are, their first name, last name, email, position, and then they give us the video of if they're pitching, their Obviously, some have the Rapsodo app in there, have all that data for us, and then they're hitting. Some have the Rapsodo too, but if they don't have that, that's fine. As long as we like seeing the player and how he is adjusting throughout his video. So the videos have helped us a little bit, and to extent that player emailing us, just having a conversation with us about what we expect, what we're looking for, what he needs to work on, stuff like that, if we've seen him before. But for us, it's been the video by the high school and the summer coaches so far.
No, I've seen in our design elements of our events that both Triple Crown Pathway and our competitors, the components of measurement are more important than ever. Breakaway single videos are more important than ever. And so this ties in a lot for what we're adding in Pathway and what we're adding in Triple Crown. Coach Josh, from your standpoint, recruiting, what's your go-to?
Yeah, I mean, I like to take advantage of technology. So, any data you can give me, Blast, K-Motion, Rapsodo, whatever dynamics you guys are using. I like to look at the metrics and try to understand those a little bit, because they're the kind of the base of what the measurement is. So I do spend a lot of time now on watching live games on the TV, on the laptop. It's really weird. I stream them to my TV now, so it's a little bit not awkward if people walk in. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to get to the tournaments as best I could. If this was a normal year, I've taken advantage of a lot of video, obviously email, a lot of connections, a lot of old connections pop up throughout the season, and we'll let you know guys are available. But like I said before, I'm gonna get back to normal. I'm gonna get on a plane in a couple weeks here and fly down and recruit, and try to get back to business as usual, because I know it's going to be a full summer slate of baseball games, and I'm expecting that.
From your standpoint, Josh, because you're shut down, you probably can speak to this more. We asked the question about the club kids. Are you seeing any issues here? Because you got 55% of the coaches reporting they're seeing some mental health issues that they didn't see before. What's your take?
Yeah, no question. Especially with my guys now, I think compressing everything down and quantifying sports is very difficult to do, but it's very easy once you look at the impact it has in young men and women's lives. You take it away, and it's depressing. It's sad. It's for a lot of student athletes who have never experienced failure. They were so frustrated by the situation. Now we tell them they can't control things, and this is a game of failure and all that jargon. But the reality is they really couldn't control anything last year, and they can't control things now. It's controlled by politicians, and that's created some obvious volatility. But for us, we've been trying to have Zoom calls every week. My phone's always on. Unfortunately, we've had some players who have lost family members because of COVID and other reasons. So just being a mentor and being an advocate for their mental health, as opposed to being a coach or a leader, I think it was time to stand with our guys or girls if you're coaching softball, as opposed to stand in front of them throughout this whole thing. So that's what I tried to do.
Very good. Anthony, from your standpoint, have you seen challenges for your players?
Yeah, it's definitely been taxing on them, to say the least. And I think the thing that I see the most is with how strict all the policies are for them in every aspect of what they're asked to do. I mean, these guys are asked so many protocols of them, whether it's what they're allowed to do in the dorms, what they're allowed to do at practice, and the masks and temperature checks and daily check-ins on their phone with their applications that they have to submit to the university. So there's so many things and steps that they have to do just to be able to get out and do the things that we're here to do, especially from the baseball side, that it is a little bit mentally taxing on them. And like these guys had mentioned here before, a lot of the times as coaches, we're hard pressed to get on the guys when there's a lack of focus, but we're seeing it's less of a lack of focus, more them engaging with each other 10, 15 minutes before practice. Maybe they're not absolutely dialed in early work, but maybe they're conversating with each other outside the dugout, spending time that they would not probably be able to get back in the dorms on campus. So it's made our coaching staff have to take a step back a little bit and say, how can we create opportunities inside of our training environment to where we can make some of those things happen a little bit naturally. So there's been some challenges there, and I feel for them, but I think they've handled it well up until this point. And I think all they can do moving forward is just keep an open mind and hope we can get back to normal.
I'm going to let Gino wrap it. I appreciate everything you guys said, and then I'll do a final thought. But Gino, from all the research and take and your pushes to get things open and all the coaches you've worked with, what's your take of this whole 12-month experience from the Pathway side and the Gino Grasso side?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you guys all for being on here. This input is really good for everybody watching, the organizations trying to navigate through this and see what's next for their players and things like that. But the biggest thing is making sure that with NCAA continuing to put on restrictions, with dead periods and things like that, we're working hard to make sure that we're putting the events in the right markets. We're making sure that we're getting the right college coaches at the events. We know the situation, like Joshua said, there's a big logjam in a lot of these colleges, and we're making sure that, we're fully transparent with the teams, the organizations, the college coaches. All you guys who play Pathway know that, we're upfront about what coaches are going to be there. We reach out with that information so you guys can start reaching out to the coaches and just making sure that we're utilizing, the video aspects of this at our events and trying to find, as we navigate through this in 2021, making sure that we have the right pieces. So listening to you guys, that's how we build. That's how we build Pathway events and Triple Crown events is with you guys. If we don't have this input, we can't build the right product and make sure that your players are in front of the right opportunities to move on. And then for the college coaches, making sure we're putting you guys in the right situations to see the players that are recruitable for you guys, and creating that experience as a whole. So, it's been challenging for sure. It takes a lot of time to build these events, and then having to, 3 weeks before Albuquerque last year, having to move it to Utah. There's always a silver lining. And I just tell you guys that, always know that there's a better outcome, and always know there's a silver lining. And Dom, you guys know, and well, everybody on here played in Utah last year. So knowing that we were able to, pivot and move to Utah, which ended up being a great experience for everyone. And, organizations want to keep going back there. So just making sure we're doing our job, listening to you guys and building on the input that you guys give us. But, kudos to all you guys for pushing through. I know it's tough for organizations and college coaches, and we appreciate everything you guys do and, the partnerships that we have with you guys here at Triple Crown and Pathway. So it's kind of my wrap on it. We're going to just keep pushing through together, grinding it out and being stressed out together, but we'll make it work.
Thank you, Gino. Thank you, coaches, club coaches and college coaches for your input. I would say to all of you, sometimes it feels heavy that we're about out of the disease gap and we're about got vaccinations, and we're still going to have a lot of lag for a couple of years to come that we're going to need to be we're real important to a lot of people to communicate, get a plan, work the plan, tell our families, get a plan, work a plan. You don't have to change your life. You just have to realize that there's going to be some lingering effects of this. And probably the good thing I hear out of this whole report is that we're going to have a summer, and it'll probably be a damn good one. And we're going to get to do what we all want to do anyway, which is play some ball. And from the college standpoint, I thank you all. From the club standpoint, thank you. Gino and Pathway, thank you very much for participating.
Thank you, guys.
Guys.
Thank you.